Hey, welcome back to Pick It Built. Let's get back into it on this 280Z. Alright guys, if you remember where we left off last time, I went ahead and sanded around so I could get good clean metal so we can get some clean welds. Let's get right into it. Alright, I've been practicing a little spot welds here on this panel and everything looks good. If you remember my helmet issue with the battery, we are still waiting for a battery. So in the meanwhile, I went ahead and borrowed a helmet from a buddy, and that'll get us through the next couple days while we're still waiting on that battery, so I'm not wasting time. Alright, I've gone ahead and put a couple tack welds at all four corners, and everything seems to be working well as far as my settings, so let's continue. Alright, we've got that welded in. Welds aren't pretty, but let's grind it down and see how it looks. Alright, after grinding that down, we've got it pretty smooth, got a few spots to fix, and we should be good to go. So this is the back side of the light buckets, and got some just surface rust. Let's go ahead and use some rust neutralizer and get all the backside cleaned up so we can epoxy both sides and get it all sealed up. We'll let that rust dissolver sit on there for 30 minutes or so and let it do its thing, and we should see all that start to turn black, and so we know the rust has been converted or killed off. Alright, here's our initial tacks. Let's take these clamps off and get the rest of it. Alright, we've got this fender patched up. Alright, so here's the back side of the fender. I went ahead and welded these a little bit here, and let's bend this lip back around and everything should be good to go. And the other one, let's get those welds grinded down and check it out. Alright, we've got that grinded down pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Let's take a look at the other side as well. Alright, a few little spots to touch up, but we are in business. Alright, back side of these light buckets, all the rust looks like it's turned black, which means we can clean the rest of it up and get the backside painted. Alright, we are at the final stages on these fenders. They have been kicking my butt, but we are getting close to epoxy. Oh yeah. Alright, we've gone ahead and went across this bottom line here and shaped everything up and got everything even and straight as much as I can. Sanded all this down, and nothing I think that a little skim coated body filler can't fix. Same thing on this other side. Skimmed all this down, tried to even this up as much as I could. Alright, let's flip them over. Alright, I've been working on this backside, got this lip all the way bent back over, welded all this up, got all my welds cleaned up even on the backside, just for my own peace of mind knowing both sides look good. And anyway, I'm going to clean up the backside of these and get everything painted. Here's the other one as well. Alright, tack welded this piece back on. Clean my welds on the backside, and alright, let's get to the next step. Alright, rear hatch is just about ready. I've continued to do a little body work on it before I epoxy, but let's go ahead and get everything prepped for epoxy, get this shop cleaned up, and see how it looks after that. Alright, the epoxy has been drying overnight, so let's get in there and check it out. Alright, so we've got the headlight buckets, rear hatch epoxied. Now this is a black epoxy. Let's go ahead and shut this door so we see what we're looking at. Alright, so we've got all the backside sealed on these fenders. Got a little heavy there. Good thing that epoxy can be sanded. Alright, here's the front side of the hatch. Still see my body work under there a little bit. The plan is it's going to do a little more body work, and then we're going to go high build primer on top of this epoxy, so we'll be covering all that up. Alright, everything is sealed up. Let's get these fenders flipped over and we are going to do the other side. You can see all this overspray that's just dusted onto the floor, and I've been sweeping all that up. And so instead of spraying more epoxy and getting more dust layers all over my floor, I'm going to go ahead and go outside with these fenders and spray them outside, since the epoxy is not as important to have a perfect spray booth. So let's get those painted. After 2 layers of epoxy, you can already start to see where some bodywork needs to be done. Right in here. That's the great thing about putting on a layer of primer, is you can expose where else work needs to be done. Alright, we're going to put one more layer of epoxy and let that dry, and we should be all set to start body work. Alright, since I've mixed up enough epoxy, I'm going to go ahead and touch up one little spot here that I went on a little heavy, so I sanded that back down, and we'll touch that back up. And we'll go one more round on these fenders as well. And we touched up that one spot. Now of course I'm going back over this with some high build poly primer, so we'll get another couple layers of primer as well. So trying to get laser clean lines. We have epoxy primer! Finally! I can't tell you how gratifying it is to finally get to this stage on these fenders. They have been kicking my butt, and once we got this first layer of primer on, it's amazing what a couple layers of paint can do to your bodywork. Of course, we're not out of the woods yet. Now we're going to start our body filler and high build primer after that. But we've made a lot of headway this week. Thanks to all you guys that have been following so far. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. A lot more to come. Thank you guys. See you next time.